Once again, it was great being with the guys this morning, and certainly looking forward to this week and getting a chance to play in this game. It's always been meaningful, and I think it'll especially be meaningful with a chance, for our seniors, a group that's played really good football individually and collectively in the teams they've been a part of. But it's it's always big, and looking forward to playing against a very talented, good Minnesota team. We got to have a great week of preparation, and it started today.
Well, one of those seniors is Alec Ingold. He's been a pretty versatile guy for you over his career here. What has stood out most about how he's been able to take to the fullback position?
Well, I think, first and foremost, he's been a heck of a football player. And, when he first started, it was fullback, it was playing tailback. From the get-go, it was a big part of special teams. And, what I've enjoyed this year, seeing him, I think he's playing his best football, and I just love the way he's approached it. He's got great energy every day, and I think he's playing at a really high level as well. But it's been fun to be with him. Really, the whole group. It's been fun to be a part of it, and certainly Alec he's made the most of the opportunities. And I think one of the reasons guys appreciate him so much is he's truly unselfish. He'll do anything for this team, and has done a ton for this team.
Well, I think you were asked about Jack after the game. I'm sure it wasn't a perfect performance, but was it more comfort just from experience? Was it guys helping him by making plays like Danny did as well?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. I thought, Jack continued to progress, and you'll never play the perfect game. You strive for it, but and I do think it was, he was better in some things, but I thought he also gave guys a chance to help him, and I thought he competed. I thought he saw what was going on. I liked his whole demeanor throughout the game, and so I think, always when you get to play, there's chances to continue to grow, and I thought he took advantage of that and did grow.
Sorry, Jason.
Well, Minnesota hasn't, improved record-wise this year so far, but have you seen progress from that team from last year when you watched them? And I know they're playing a lot of young guys too.
Absolutely, you watch them, and there's a number of players that we've played against before, and I think what they're doing, offensively, you can see, there's chances they get it, and they're running the ball and running it well and physical. And the quarterbacks, when they're throwing, quarterbacks giving guys a chance to make plays. I think they got good receivers, and defensively, seen a lot of those faces and really good players. And I think where it shows up is on special teams. You see the athleticism, and you see the toughness out of them, and absolutely feel like it's a good football team.
Paul, it's your fourth year here, so obviously for these seniors, most all of them would have played their careers under you. I wonder if you have any extra level of appreciation for this class because of that.
Well, I think that you absolutely, I have a ton of appreciation for all the guys that you get to be around, and you see what they go through day in and day out. And I felt that with the group of seniors the first year I was here. I think the difference is when you're around them for a longer period of time, more of the history. You've seen maybe the development of them. You've known the ups and downs and what they've had to do to fight through it. So I think that's where it's, right, each year, each experience adds depth to the relationship. But I've been fortunate that every guy I've been able to be a part of, you respect that and you appreciate it and you care about them.
Paul, they made a change at defensive coordinator, and this guy's had 2 games under his belt now. The numbers are obviously better, but have you guys noticed a difference in anything they do from the first X number of games to these last 2?
Yeah, and then, that's always tricky. I've been a part of, on staffs because there is something to what have you installed and what is your base, in this case, your base defense and where your change-ups. And I think, where you try to study it is, you know, the timing of it, and are they leaning towards something, are they getting away from something, you know, and we're, you know, starting to get a feel for that, and we just got to continue to keep studying it.
What have you noticed, though, since he took over and the way their defense is playing?
Well, I mean, you know, you watch the film, and you know, I thought they've had some games, you know, before where they're playing well too, and certainly, you know, we just watched them, you know, last week, and then you watch them again this week, you know, against Purdue, and you know, the last 2 weeks, I think they've, you know, played two good, in my opinion, two really good football teams, and played them well.
Paul, if I'm not mistaken, I think 7 of the 8 defensive backs listed on your 2-deep are considered underclassmen. Where have you seen that group make the most progress this year? I know obviously it's never going to be perfect, but are there certain things you feel like they've really handled throughout the season?
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, first of all, it's hard to lump them all because they are individuals, right? And so I think they all have done in their own way, you know, done some good things, and certainly have all had moments where they can learn from them. And, you know, I think that's the growth. If you say what's the biggest growth, is that they're getting the experience and learning from it, and you see them learning and trying to apply it. And so I'd say it's hard to just put it all into one. You know, the group is doing this because they're all you know, individually they're different.
Paul, you were trying to redshirt Jack. Now you have a decision to make. Obviously, Alex's status factors in. What are your thoughts on that whole situation right now?
Yeah, I think that, you know, and we've been talking about this with different people throughout all of this, you know, and there's more conversation this year, certainly in our room than before, but I think that if you have a chance to play, especially if you're ready, you know, those are great opportunities. And, you know, what we didn't want to do this year with Jack was play him at the end of a game to finish a game out. And so, you know, it's kind of held true to form in the sense that, you know, when he's played, you know, I think he's played in 4, 3 of them he was the starter and played the whole game, and one he came in and played the whole second half. And so, you know, those are valuable, and who are we to say what is around the bend? You know, so if you can be in those, and that's what, you know, you have conversations with each individual, and even from the beginning of the season, you know, Jack was on board for whatever this team needs. And that's what you appreciate about him and a bunch of the guys. But I think that's how you approach it. You know, if you can get, who's to say what the future is, you know, and if you can get meaningful, which it is, when you're starting a game and you're playing, those are huge experiences. And I think it's what guys work for. And, you know, I think, too, he's earned the respect of this team and appreciation from this team, you know, that if he's in there, they'll do all they can to help everyone make it the best we can.
I had a couple of questions about Jonathan. Could you sum up what he's done? I mean, your passing attack hasn't been what you'd want it to be all year, but yet he's putting up all these Ron Dane-type numbers. Just kind of summarize his season, what's happened there?
Well, I mean, certainly it's been impressive, and, you know, we didn't know coming into this season what it would be. You know, you knew that, and you appreciate how he was working, and you knew that he was getting better, and yet, you know, the numbers that he had last year, you'd hate to saddle him with, you've got to produce these numbers, and because it depends on what's happening, how your defense is playing, who you're playing against, what you're doing offensively, and yet he's managed to continue to impact in such a big way, and he has, you know, he's gone up and he's had some tough looks, and he's been consistent, and I've loved his approach, and I think what he's doing is truly special.
When you talk about the Heisman, this is the time of year you maybe talk about that. Should he be a candidate? Is he realistically a candidate, kind of the way that Heisman has morphed into a quarterback award and a top 5 team type award? Yeah,
and I mean, I'd leave all that for a lot of other people that study it and know more, but he's as playing as well as any running back in the country. I would believe and do believe. And I'm glad he's on our team. And yet I love his approach because it has nothing to do with kind of what's in it for him. And yet I think he's playing as well. I mean, you talk about playing good football. He's a football player that's playing at the highest level.
Well, I know Alex was able to get some work in practice last week.
Yep.
How close is he to getting through the protocol, and has he had any setbacks at all throughout the process?
Yeah, he's progressing through it, and this week will obviously be important for him.
I think you were asked after the game as well about the pre-snap penalties. Is there anything a coach can do other than just drill it in practice to try to eliminate those?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, certainly no player goes up and, all right, this will be a good time where I'm going to jump off sides. I think it's, I think you got to get to what caused you to jump. And the first one was the movement, by the defense, and yet, knew that was coming. So it's just one more reinforcement. The things you see on film, you anticipate it, you got to see it, and also, okay, where were we at on our cadence? We just started. You got to trust that part of it, and I think it's just making sure that guys see it, understand it, and it's about a lot of the pre-snap penalties. It's about your focus and concentration on it, and you've got to own that.
Paul, in years past of the Minnesota game week, speakers have been brought in or former players to talk about its importance and meaning. Just wondering, what will you do for this week to hammer home the message about what this rivalry means?
I mean, we'll hit on it every day, and I think what's most powerful is when your players, those who have played in those games, hit on it. And there is no question that all of our players, at the end of the week, will know how important this game is.
Following up on that, I was wondering if you had a favorite moment or two from the rivalry or the game as a coach, player, even as a fan growing up.
Well, I think that, I've been fortunate that, this game I've been able to be a part of it in a lot of different ways. And, we go to the games with my dad. Usually when he wasn't coaching here, his season was done, so that was kind of a weekend that we always got to go, whether it was here or up in Minnesota, and then being able to play in it, coaching it. I've been in enough where I've got a lot of good memories of it, and you appreciate, the rivalry, and you appreciate all the players. Have been great players that have played in this, and great teams that have played in this, and so a ton of respect for the game, and like I said, I've been fortunate to be a part of in a lot of different ways, many of them, and so still thankful for that opportunity.
Well, Michael Dieter and Bo Benshaw are two guys that, have been staples of the offensive line since you've been here. How far have they come since that first 2015 season, and what have they been able to give you this year?
Well, I think they've grown tremendously, and I also think they've helped others around them grow, and they've meant a ton to this team, and they've meant a ton to the teams that they've been a part of before. And it hasn't just happened. They've put a lot of work in, and yet they both have a way of going about it that while they're working incredibly hard, they enjoy it, and they enjoy playing the game. They enjoy the meetings. They enjoy practice. They've got a great approach to it, and I think you all know, and you've seen it. They've grown tremendously. They're definitely going to leave. There's a lot of guys you can say this, but how cool is it when you can leave a place better, all right, for you having been there? And I think they definitely can do that and say that.
Paul, Logan Bruss had the benefit of getting some meaningful reps in that jumbo package earlier. How did he handle probably his most extended action of the season?
I thought, Logan did a lot of really good things, and it was important for us. And you're right, I think that he was prepared for it, and yet it's still different. There's a first in that sense for him, but it was fun seeing him and talking with him after the game. There's always that. I hope I can get to where I get to start, and then to be able to do it and play well in it and to contribute to a victory. I think there's a lot of things that he can feel good about as a starting point.
Jason?
Well, I know you feel like you have a lot of great leaders on this team, but Dakota Dixon's leadership in particular, what has that kind of meant for this team?
Well, Dakota means a ton to this team, and who he is and the true care that he has for his teammates and for this program and how he goes about his day-to-day. It's truly been special to be able to be around him, and I don't know that words or stories can really put it all into the right context. He's been unbelievable.